Hello, everyone. It's Tuesday morning and it's June 3rd, and we still have a pretty active pattern of severe weather, especially in the central U.S. And it's a slow moving set of weather systems that will keep the activity within about a 4 or 5 state area here for several days to come. Actually, today's is rather stretched out. If you take a look at the visible satellite loop, we have this area here, which is pretty clear. Thunderstorms are firing currently in Texas. More will be developing here today, and we got some active weather there in South Florida. Although a lot of that is offshore now, and but will return. We'll take a look at the radar loop, and this is what today's outlook in it. And if you do that, should be able to hit that. There we go. This is the slight risk of severe storms that the SPC puts out. That's the 2 out of 5 risk there that runs from, let's say Quincy down to Joplin. Springfield's included in that. Oklahoma City is certainly and all the way down the length of central Texas. So we have some active thunderstorms here this morning. They're lifting to the northeast, and we saw that on satellite. We had some blow-ups there in Texas. Let's take a look and see what the simulated radar has to say about the development of these storms. You can see here that these storms will move into northern Missouri. And actually, this threat right here, where these squall lines developing up here in the northern part of the state of Missouri, are where I think the focus of the most severe weather will actually be today. And you'll see the extended outlooks here and the more detailed outlooks in a minute. You can still see this upper level system slow moving in Florida. So it keeps reinventing rain across southern Florida, and also some thunderstorms developing in the high plains. That will go into the risk category for day 2. So today's day 1. That's how we phrase it in weather circles, and you can see the 1 and 2 risk area here. Pretty extensive long area, indicative of a long front that's firing showers and storms, and then maybe a little bit of an interaction with a dry line here through Oklahoma and Texas. The tornado threat is widespread and runs from southern Wisconsin through the heart of Missouri, southeast Kansas, down to Oklahoma City, down to Texas, those same areas that were in that slight risk area. Pretty much under the gun. This is a 2% chance of a tornado within 25 miles. And as you saw on the satellite, and on the radar simulation, squall lines that are developing up here later on tonight are the ones that I think are probably going to have a pretty good tornado risk, maybe the highest. And in fact, if you look at Nadocast for today, it does put the area from Kansas City to just around Columbia, Missouri, and a little bit northeast of there under the highest risk. This is a 10% chance of a tornado occurrence. So a little bit more enhanced than what the Storm Prediction Center has. And we always use I always use the Storm Prediction Center forecast in this video that was just put out within, let's say, the last half hour. But again, I want to emphasize that I don't update this every single time the SPC puts out a new outlook, especially on day 1. So if you're interested in the threats of severe weather, in particular tornadoes, just keep going to the website I have in the link and check and see when they update. They usually update it around 11:30 in the morning, and then I think around 2 or 3 in the afternoon. So just keep checking that. They might have some significant updates that would happen just because of evolution of thunderstorm activity. That can often affect where things are going to be at their worst. In terms of SIP's outlook, this is a pattern matching, analog pattern matching look at severe weather. It almost aligns perfectly with the SPC's forecast for today. I'm not really surprised, although they confined their look for tornadoes in the past with current patterns only to this part of Texas, so nothing mentioned up here in Missouri. But that's where the latest models, especially the shorter range and higher resolution models, can come in handy. And in terms of CSU's, this is Colorado State University's machine learning program, so it adapts and learns and does look at the past as well, but it's putting that tornado frequency in about the same place, Kansas City into northeast Missouri, with a long area surrounding that, and that brown is 5%. So we vary anywhere from nothing to 5, to 2 actually for the SPC, to 5 here, and then to 10 on Nadocast. So we'll see what happens up there in upstate Missouri. Meanwhile, the hail threat seems to be confined, at least the greatest risk of large hail, to Oklahoma and Texas. And then a lot of times these thunderstorms form linear squall lines, and they just become wind machines. That's kind of reflected in that forecast right there. So let's move ahead to Wednesday. It breaks into 2 as a little bit more stable air comes in behind this weather system. But we have a frontal boundary here that will produce some severe weather from southern Illinois through Indianapolis to Detroit. Detroit, and then another area back here in New Mexico, parts of Colorado. I didn't see any real significant tornado threats here, except that CSU is putting south central Colorado, maybe up to Colorado Springs and into northeast New Mexico in a 2% tornado risk. I believe that's right. Yeah. Yeah, it's just interesting. Yeah, 2%. And then a broader area of hail and wind with that. Let's take a look at Thursday. And so this is kind of a resurgence where the front is very obvious. It's still creating trouble there, maybe in New England, but it stretches back through here. And so we have this elongated area of severe weather possibilities into southern Missouri and northern Arkansas, with the greatest risk in southern Kansas down into the panhandle region of Oklahoma and much of northern Oklahoma as well. Panhandle of Texas and northern Oklahoma as well. That's Thursday, and I've been hinting on these videos that this was going to expand and keep going, and that's certainly what is happening. And I also hinted that these severe weather areas would probably enhance and go to higher levels, and that's happening as well. Look at Thursday's CSU model. They put the highest risk of tornadoes in this pretty broad area here that covers much of Kansas, parts of the Texas and Oklahoma panhandle and eastern Colorado. Hail threat way out in the high plains. A little bit of a wind threat with any of this activity. And then this is what I was talking about too. On Friday, this has been expanded. This is a severe weather threat that didn't exist yesterday. This is for any mode of severe weather, so it could be hail, high winds, or tornadoes. It's a 15% chance of any of that within a 25-mile circle. There's no way on Tuesday we can talk intelligently on Friday about tornadoes, really. So we can talk about it, but we can't really define exactly where they're going to be. But this broad brush is the best we can do. So southern Missouri, much of Arkansas, over to Memphis, over to western Tennessee, and pretty much the entire state of Oklahoma is under that threat for Friday. And if you look at CSU's take on this, it's pretty similar to the SPC forecast I just showed you, which is this one right here, except it's maybe a little nudging it a little bit more north, and they tend to maximize the severe weather threat down there along I-44 in Oklahoma and into a small part of northeast Texas. Then on Saturday, this system just sinks south a little bit more, takes Missouri out of the picture, but goes from Birmingham through northern Mississippi, through central and southern Arkansas, and into Oklahoma, much of Oklahoma. But you can definitely see by looking at this that there's a more stable pattern sinking this southward. And if we compare that to CSU's model, yeah, they do put a slight probability of severe weather north of that, but they are emphasizing the same area that SPC is, maybe bringing in a little bit more into the Carolinas than they do. And then things seem to settle down on Sunday. It's a broad brush. But again, when you get longer time frames out, if you go more days, this does tend to kind of wash out a little bit. All forecasts do. So that's Sunday. There might be some enhancement there. Monday, same general pattern, breaking apart a little bit, but leaving the central plains alone and migrating to Texas and the southeast coast. Here is the NIU's supercell composite outlook. A supercell thunderstorm is one that maintains itself for a long enough period of time to support large hail development, for instance, wind gusts, and maybe tornadoes. This does not talk intelligently about dividing those up. It's just talking about the probability of an existence of a supercell thunderstorm, and then we take it from there. Anyway, this is June 3rd through June 9th, so it sums up the last 7 days I just talked about, basically. And sure, Oklahoma and Texas are under the gun still. The next 7 days after that, the middle of June, very active up into Iowa. This is very in line with what you expect from the climatology of severe weather. So what starts happening in June is the jet stream retreats up to the north like this, and then the unstable air is allowed enough time and enough fetch to come up from the Gulf and really get far north, so it can interact with the jet stream and produce severe weather much further north than it would normally do in the, let's say, the middle part of spring. And then in June, late June, and this is week 3, the front range, the high plains, really under the gun, seems to be some semblance of a front stalled out in general over that pattern from Chicago back into Nebraska. We'll take a look at a couple more graphs here. Here's the EPS 500 millibar mean. I'm particularly interested in Thursdays because there's a little jet streak coming in here. And if you'll recall, Thursday's outlook looks something like that. So that explains that. And lots of unstable air, hot and dry in South Texas, but that humidity gets right up into that jet stream zone, and that could be some trouble. We could probably watch Thursday for enhancements to the outlook, I would think. And then just this is what's called the EPS Weekly. This is run on Monday and Thursday. This really just sums up the average 500 millibar flow for this 7-day period. So from yesterday, it came out late last night, through June 8th, so 1 week's average. So when you look at this, this is the 500 millibar flow. Winds are generally flowing along the black lines. And when you see these purple and blue colors, that's an anomaly. So that means, yeah, we have a trough of low pressure here that is, it's not abnormal, it's just an anomaly, meaning that, if we compare it to what it normally looks like at 500 millibars, that's a disturbance. So that explains the severe weather getting further to the north. And then this kind of flattens out, but a lot of times when you go further out, this is the week after that, same map. But it generally is talking about some troughiness in the northern plains, and that kind of follows with that long-range supercell forecast as well. Thanks for watching today's edition of Severe Thunderstorm Outlooks. This is published every day after the morning Storm Prediction Center update. Also, remember to check that site off on day one because they update it fairly frequently. If you like this video, please like it. Also, you can subscribe to the channel for more content just like this.